Whew. Hi everyone, it's Gina, and I'm here with day 3 of the Love Your Body meditation. I went ahead and kind of just cleared the energy a little bit just by playing the sound bowl. You're free to, whatever it is that you do to clear the energy, to clear your space, whether it's by burning sage, spraying sage, frankincense, whatever the case is. Hi Rosanna, it's good to see you. So whatever it is that you do to kind of prepare your space, you can go ahead and do that. Today we're going to be showing gratitude for the reproductive area or creative center, what some people refer to as the Sacral Chakra, that sacred center. That's what we're going to be doing our meditation around today. And it's a really heavy area to do a meditation around, because I know that a lot of people have wounds in this area and don't realize it, right? So I'm not going to really dive deep into this. If you want to go further, you can simply let me know, and we can maybe go deeper in a more private setting, because I know this is a really like a vulnerable topic for a lot of women, guys as well, but I know women especially. So at the end of this, if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, then we can certainly do that in a more private setting, maybe set up a Facebook group, and we can do a lot more healing around this area. This is one area where I did a lot of work about a year and a half ago, because I realized that even with all of the natural therapies that I was doing, there was still something missing as far as the healing was concerned, and I realized that's where it was. And I'll go a little bit deeper into all of those as we go on. But today we're productive area, both guys and girls. That's considered to be the creativity center, or the sacral chakra, that sacred energy center. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So have a pen, have your journal. If you work with any kind of sound tools, you may want to have a rattle, maybe a rain stick, or your singing bowl if you have one. If you work with crystals, you may want to have like a piece of carnelian, something bright orange, to work with. I'm actually wearing carnelian, and I think this is coral, a few pieces of coral that are on here as well. And they're also in the earrings, and I'm wearing a pink and orange shirt, so I'm kind of pulling in those colors that way as well. So if you want to just throw on something that's orange, you can certainly do that as well. The replay is going to be available, so you can always come back and do this as many times as you feel you need to. And like I said, if you want to dive deeper, we can certainly do that on a more private setting. If you feel the need to move when we're doing the meditation, move, because your body is designed to move, and that particular area is, where a lot of the passion lies. It's also where what's referred to as the kundalini. Can never pronounce that word. Um, when we say the kundalini rising, that's usually where it comes from. So if you feel the need to move or sway during the meditation, go ahead and do just that. Don't just sit there, because when your body kind of, feels the need to move, it is telling you something. So just move, because what moving does, it gets the energy flowing. So if you feel the need to move or sway as you're doing the meditation, then go ahead and do that. If you feel the need, because I'm going to suggest that you close your eyes, but if you feel the need to open your eyes and write something into your journal while we're doing this, then do that as well. Jot down whatever is coming up for you. That way you can go back and you can, journal a little bit more, go a little bit deeper. So whatever comes up, just write it down. You don't necessarily have to go into any detail right now, but if you notice that something is coming up for you as we're meditating, simply make some notes in your journal. Okay, that is perfectly fine. And then later on, hi Kathleen. Later on, then you can sit down in a nice quiet area and you can kind of meditate some more on your thoughts and write down what comes up even further for you. All right, so there's going to be a lot could come up for you, and I'm going to go into some of those. So right now, what I want, I'm going to stop talking, and I just want everyone to kind of get into a nice quiet space where you're not going to be interrupted. I decided today I'm just going to work with the sound bowl. I thought about using a rattle, but if you what I'll do is at the end of you'll notice I'm going to mention something, and if that kind of pertains to you or if something comes up in your spirit as a result of something I said, then you can simply jot it down. But at the end of that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my singing bowl, and I'm just going to, do something like this. And it kind of clears the energy around that particular one, and then you can take a moment to either write down something or just to kind of ponder on it, and then we'll move on to the next part. This is going to be a little bit longer than the previous one. I find that whenever I'm doing this meditation, I tend to stay at this area a little bit longer, and I think it's because this area and the stomach area or the solar plexus, those two areas tend to be where I do a lot more of the work. And when we talk about the solar plexus next, or that digestive area, you'll understand why. All right, so let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Make sure you have your journal. If you need to have like a glass of water nearby, I would not recommend anything like wine right now. You can have that afterwards. You may need a glass of wine afterwards. But anyway, just have something to drink like water close by. If you need it, you can always take a sip. If you want to have a sound tool, go ahead. If you want to have a crystal, carnelian would be the one, or just a crystal that's orange, or just wear something that's orange. If you don't have it on right now, that's perfectly fine. These are just things that I suggest when we're working with this particular area. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. So the creativity center, the sacred center, the reproductive center, that is what we're going to be talking about today. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, and I was initially going to read this at the end, but I think it's something that we should do now leading into it to kind of, take command, so to speak, before we start to address certain issues that are going to come up, because there will certainly be some things that come up for you. So what I kind of want you to do is I will go ahead and read this. I did post it on Facebook in one of the comments, and so if you need to, you can always go back and you can kind of print it off, or you can just write it down after you watch the replay. It is just something good to say. And it is not mine. I wish I wrote this. It's not mine. It actually came from a book called Instructing the Akash, by Cryon. The authors were Cryon Lee. So what I want you to do is just go ahead and close your eyes, get yourself into a nice quiet space, and you can just simply listen as I read off this as a command before we start into the meditation. Right, so it simply states, "Dear cellular structure, I am in charge. The boss is talking. So listen up. I command you to see the beauty and the benevolence and the God inside every cell in my body. I command you to be more resistant to disease than I have ever been before. You see, disease cannot attach itself to the light, and I hold more light than ever before. I command that which was in me, which is inappropriate, to go away and to change and to get better. Let the chemistry in my body show itself in the next days so I know this is real. I take command of things that I was never told I could take command of. It is settled." And like I said, that came from the book called Instructing the Akash. So I wanted to kind of set the tone so that you know that as we go in throughout this meditation, that you can take control of what's coming up in your body. You can take control. You know, your body is going to be telling you certain things, and you can take control of whatever comes up. And that's all part of your healing process. So let us continue. The sacred or the sacral chakra or the reproductive center, the creativity center, that is all for the ladies. That includes your uterus, fallopian tubes, the ovaries, the kidneys, I'm not sure exactly how much of this we can say on certain social media, so I'm going to use a term that a lot of people would be familiar with, the vajayjay. With the guys, you all know the parts we're referring to. I have to be like family appropriate here, okay? So for the both the guys and the girls, it's going to be the kidneys, the bladder, all of that is going to be part of the reproductive center or the sacral chakra that we're referring to, okay? So think of all of those areas as when we talk about the sacral chakra, that's what we're talking about. When we talk about the creative center or the reproductive center or that sacred energy center, that's what we're referring to. When it comes to the female, we consider the vajayjay to be like a self-cleaning oven. Okay, it does its thing. We don't really think about it. It kind of takes care of itself, does its pH balancing. We don't think about it. Every once in a while it goes haywire. We're going to talk about, different things like that. It bounces back after birth. I've had 3 children, and everything seems to kind of bounce back after birth for the most part, right? And the difference between the guys and the girls when it comes to like arousal is that with the girls, it kind of knows how to keep a secret. With the guys, when they get aroused, like everybody knows, right? Even if the guys don't really want anyone to know, we know because of a certain thing that appears in the front, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to be family friendly, but it's kind of hard when we're talking about this certain center, right? So, but even though this is such a beautiful area, this is where a lot of people tend to have issues. This is where a lot of people tend to have blockages. And by blockages, I'm going to talk a little bit about all of that. So if any of these come up for you as you're meditating on these things, just simply jot them down or ponder on it. And we'll talk a little bit more about them afterwards. Okay. So issues that could come up as far as having a blocked sacral chakra or a blocked sacred energy center or a blocked creativity center are things like infertility. That could be on both the guy's part as well as the girl's part. Things like abortions, pregnancies. These are all traumas that you could experience around this energy center. Miscarriages, right? All of these are things that affect that sacred energy center, that creativity center. And a lot of people really don't think of these as being traumatic, but just imagine when you are, as a woman, especially when you're trying to push a 6 to 10 pound baby out in a section that is maybe what, 2 or 3 inches wide. It is traumatic. So what we're going to do in this meditation is just pay homage, show gratitude, ask forgiveness. There's a lot of things that could come up where you will have to ask forgiveness for. If you feel like you need to cry, it can happen. Just let the tears flow. Tears can be very healing. So don't hold them back. If things come up for you, just go ahead and cry. Nobody is there. I can't see you. So if you need to cry, just go ahead and cry. Jot down if you find that you get teary, write down what exactly was said that caused you kind of a trigger. Write that down, and then we'll move on to the others. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to really focus on just girls or guys. Occasionally I say some things that refer to the girls only. Sometimes I say stuff that refer to guys only. And I think at some point I will bring in a guy who kind of specializes in this sort of thing, referring to guys, and have him do a meditation specifically for guys as well. So we're going to basically show gratitude for our reproductive center, our creativity center, that sacred energetic center, right? This felt like a really good time to just take a deep breath. In for 3, hold, and just breathe through your mouth, out for 3. One more time. So for those of you who've had children, one of the things that you may want to show gratitude for is just for the length of time that your body took in order to prepare those kids that were growing inside of you. And just the time that it took, when you were actually going through the labor and the delivery part. Just like I said, that uterus is like an oven. It took that time. It, for lack of a better word, it baked and it cooked this little being inside, right? So let's just show gratitude for all of that, and show gratitude for safe deliveries that you may have had. And you may also want to ask forgiveness for any kind, if maybe you had miscarriages, maybe you had abortions. Those are all traumas that your body went through, that sacred energetic area went through. So this may be a good time also to not just show gratitude for the healing that took place, but also to ask forgiveness for having put it through that time, right? Those particular events. For the guys, if you're suffering from any kind of infertility, this may also be a time that you could, ask forgiveness, that maybe there is a reason, and it may be hard to see right now, but maybe there was a reason why you weren't able to have children. So just show I know it's hard to show gratitude for something like that, but just go ahead and try anyway. And also kind of ask forgiveness for maybe the negative comments that you might have said in regard to the fact that you were unable to conceive a child or enable someone to conceive a child, right? So just show first, gratitude first, always. And if there's a need to ask for forgiveness at this point, then also just take a moment and just ask for forgiveness as well. And if anything is coming up for you during this time, like I said, journal, just write a note in your journal. You don't have to focus on it so much right now. We can always, do something in a more private setting at a later time, like I mentioned. As far as the female is concerned, the ovaries is also part of that sacred energetic area. Those ovaries are there for balancing hormones. They also are there to store the eggs that we're born with that will eventually become children. They don't all become children because we're born with a lot, but the eggs are stored in there and they're released every month if you all still have those particular, I like to call it plumbing. If you still have that, and go ahead and and again, like I said, sometimes it's hard to show gratitude for this particular area because we know as women we go through that particular cycle every month, and for some women it is horrendous. It is hard to show gratitude for something like that, but we have to show gratitude for that cycle, because that cycle, it's the possibility of being a mother, right? And even though you don't necessarily have to be a mother by giving birth, you can be a mother just by taking care of another child. But I know sometimes it's hard to show gratitude for that one little area that releases that little egg every month and it doesn't get fertilized. So we said, it sheds, and it can be very painful for a lot of women. So just take some time and just show gratitude just for having that cycle, even though it's painful. And if you are, I don't like to use these certain terms, but if you find it hard to show gratitude during that month, then maybe just right now just take a moment to just ask for forgiveness. I know I can tell you from personal experience, for many, 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 many years, it was very, very hard. Um, Being a woman, so to speak, you know what I mean, that month. And it took, I think, having a complete hysterectomy about 5 years ago to really make me appreciate the fact that I, was having that cycle so regularly. There were a lot of health reasons why I ended up just having to have all the plumbing removed. Um, but the healing part was hard, and that is why I can actually come to you and be able to do this meditation with you, because I know how difficult healing the sacred energy center is. I went through it, and part of what I did, and this is something that you may want to consider, is if you've ever had a hysterectomy, if you've ever had a miscarriage, if you've ever had an abortion, you may want to consider doing a painting or poetry or some kind of artistic rendition to express gratitude, and also to express remorse or ask for forgiveness, whatever, however you want to whatever you want to term it, right? That is all part of the healing process. I went through and I did a painting, and I also wrote a poem and asked for forgiveness. And because as women, when you have an abortion, this is one of the things that I know I went through personally. You might have gone through it as well. Is you feel almost less of a woman when you no longer have that plumbing. So if you've gone through a hysterectomy, whether it's a partial or a full, if you've gone through a hysterectomy, I know what it feels like to feel like you're less than, right? But I'm here to tell you, you're not less than. You're not less than a woman simply because you don't have any plumbing. And if you're feeling that way, we know that that's an area that certainly is going to need a lot of work, a lot of healing. it is considered to be that's a huge trauma, having that particular area removed. And even for guys, having their equivalent, I think, would be like having a vasectomy. So even in that, for the guys, that would require quite a bit of healing as well. So if there's something coming up for you around that, just go ahead and you can simply jot it down in your journal. And if the tears are coming, let them. I just feel like there's someone out there who it's coming up a lot, and it's hard. So just let the tears come. Just let them fall, because the tears are very, very cleansing. And this is it took me a long time to learn that tears are just very, very cleansing. You're not weak. You're not weak at all whenever if you're crying. It is a way of release. It's a way to just cleanse. Just felt like a good place to clear that. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of sadness that comes up when it relating to the sacred energy, the sacred energetic area, the sacral chakra, that energetic center. So there's a lot of loss and sadness that comes up whenever you have any kind of trauma around that. It could be something as simple as just having a really, really, really horrible period every month, to something as traumatic as having the complete hysterectomy. Okay, so don't feel like you have to hold in these emotions. Don't feel like you have to just kind of pretend that there's nothing wrong. The pretending that nothing's wrong, that nothing is affecting you, is the part where that's going to cause a lot more hurt. So we kind of need to address the why is the hurt coming up, why is the loss coming up, why the sadness, and address all of those issues. At this point, I'd like for you to say, and we're not finished, but I'd just like for you to just express these words of gratitude. Whether you're a guy or a girl, thank you for being a warrior despite everything I have put you through. Thank you for being a warrior despite everything that I put you through. Remember that everything that happens to us is a gift. And today I am grateful for the gift of perspective. I remember when I had the hysterectomy, and it took me, I think, a whole year that I processed everything, and I journaled, and I did a painting and wrote poetry. You do gain a certain perspective, so a much different perspective from, when you go through the healing process. So this is not going to be an overnight thing. I'm just simply doing this with you to kind of get things started, for you to kind of understand, maybe you need to do a little bit more work on here. And if you feel like you do, go ahead and just write down the areas where these where you feel that things are coming up for you. So the sacred energetic center influences certain things, and things like creativity, that is found in that sacred energetic center. It's your reproductive area, but it's your creativity center. It's where your confidence comes from, artistic expression. It's the area that has to do with how inspired you feel. And it's the area that kind of generates joy. Whether you're satisfied in romantic relationships or not, that is all from that area. Your ability to express your emotions also is influenced by that particular area, your sacred area, your reproductive center. Your response to creative feedback is also influenced by that area. So if you find it hard to take criticism, it's because that there's something going on in that reproductive area or that sacred area. Your self-worth is all influenced by that area. And if you find that you have any kind of issues around there, like things like heavy bleeding every month, things like fibroids, things like um, oh gosh, any if you have as a woman problems with the reproductive area, a lot of the times it is linked to self-esteem, self-worth. And a lot of the times when that area is healed, you find that all of those issues tend to go away. I know it sounds you're thinking that can't be right. I can't just heal my thoughts around certain things and then all of my problems will disappear. Thing is, it can, because everything is energy. A lot of the trauma that we hold within our bodies tends to manifest as illness later on. It takes time. And until we realize the connection between the trauma 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when we were 5 years old, and the illness that develops when you're 60, chances are you will just continue to be sick and be sick. But the day that you realize there's a connection between, that illness and what happened to you way back when, once you figure out that connection, all of a sudden, all of these, what I like to refer to as blockages, just kind of vanish, right? And it takes a long time to realize the connection. I understand that. But when you do, all of a sudden you're free. You find freedom, you find health, because you realize, oh my gosh, it's just energy. And once we deal with, and even trauma, yes, trauma is hard, but again, it's just your body holds on to the energy portion of it, and then if it's not healed from, it develops into the illness. So once we figure out what the trauma is, and we can figure out how to heal the illness, or the illness is just a physical manifestation of it. And we can go a lot deeper. I know I kind of threw that out there because it just popped into my head, but we can go a lot deeper in a more private setting if you so desire. All right, so if you have a healthy, sacred, energetic area or center, that represents emotional vulnerability. So you can share without wondering what that person is thinking about you. You can share not having to worry about whether somebody's going to like your opinion or not, because when your energetic center, your sacred energetic center, is completely healed and free, you really don't care what people think about you. You're just you're free to express, you're free to create, and you don't spend too much time worrying about whether somebody likes you or not. You can create and not worry about whether somebody thinks it's ugly or not. It's freedom, right? It gives you the freedom, it gives you the will to just to live your life, to really live your life, and to serve the purpose that God placed you on this planet for. Because everybody has a purpose. We're all placed here for a purpose. And the ones who figure out that purpose early on, without worrying about what other people think, we don't have those kind of issues, with the low self-esteem. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I never had any of those issues. I'm sitting here telling you that it took me years to finally heal from some of this stuff, heal from some of this garbage. And once you heal from this, all of a sudden you find that little things, the illness that you had suddenly vanished. I talk a lot about all the diagnoses that I received, and I'm going to share this tomorrow. But I went to a doctor's appointment today, and I have the paperwork. I told them, I said, I need a copy to show that my lupus it's negative, because I wanted to share that with people. I get checked every so often, just to show people the document that yes, this is for real. When you start to heal yourself from all of the trauma and all of the stuff, it's it influences your physical body. So all of the illness that resided in your body as a result of all of the traumas that you went through, all of a sudden, those things, not all of a sudden, it seems that way, right? But then they just start to like fluff away, right? So as you're going through this, as you're sitting there and you're listening to me and things are coming up for you, just jot them down. Thoughts of things that happened to you when you were 5 might come up. Just write them down right now. Don't try to address them right now, because this is not an instant fix. This is just a way for you to kind of see what comes up. Write down things that like maybe I mentioned some things earlier that apply to you. Just write those things down. And this is just like a starting point. All right. So when you have blockages in your sacred energetic center, it could manifest in several different ways. You may lack inspiration or creativity. You may find it hard to write a poem. You might have been the greatest poet back when you were 10, and all of a sudden you hit 25 and 30 and you find that you can't write anything, right? So you may lack inspiration, you may lack creativity, and this might be all because you fear judgment, you fear criticism. When that area is blocked, you may have hormonal imbalances because you lack vulnerable expression. You're not able to freely give an opinion without worrying whether somebody's gonna, what is that person gonna say? You may experience tightness in your hips because you're repressing your emotions. You're not free to express your emotions. So if you find that you've been doing that, might be something that you might want to write down and kind of address later on. When you have blockages in your sacred energetic center, you may have addictive behaviors. And this is because you lack fulfillment in your life path. You may not necessarily know right now what your soul purpose is. You may be trying to figure it out. And it all may be because that area you may be experiencing some issues there. Now, there's some things I mentioned that could cause traumas. There's a lot of things that could cause traumas. I didn't even bring up, the sexual assault, rape. Those are huge. And even if they happened when you were 5, 6, 7 years old, and you think, oh, I'm over it, that was done with, it's okay. You find that, later on you may still experience some issues relating to it, but you don't realize that it's actually relating to that. So we'll make the connection between all of that, and then you can start to address those, right? So you may find that there are addictive behaviors that you come up all because you just kind of lack fulfillment. You're not sure why that is. So just jot those down if you're finding that things like that are coming up for you. You may end up having low self-worth because you live in fear of what others think or what you think of yourself. A lot of the times, what you think people think of you is really not so. It's because you actually think that of yourself, right? So these are just signs that you may have energy blockages in your sacred energetic center or your sacral chakra or your reproductive center. So examples, if you find yourself replaying shameful experiences over and over and over and over in your head, there's something happened to you 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and you just seem to have that replaying over and over in your head, that is a sign that there is some kind of blockage in your reproductive area, your sacral chakra, your sacred energetic center, whatever term you want to use regarding that. And If it's coming up, just write it down. Jot it down. If you need a little bit more assistance with that, you can simply send an email afterwards or reach out to me. I'm on numerous platforms. As a result of something like this, you're not able to step into your full power. You're not able to create like you really want to, and you lack confidence, right? Um, Another example is when you can't handle criticism or differing of opinions. So somebody might say, something, and you say, well, no, I don't agree with that. Or you might say something and the other person says, well, I don't agree with that opinion, and you get offended. That's showing a blockage in your sacred energetic center. And in order to overcome something like this, like a lack of self-worth, you kind of need to really know how to fully love and to fully value yourself. And that is the part that a lot of people tend to have trouble with, because a lot of us tend to seek it from the outside world, right? So when the outside world doesn't give us what we're looking for, then that's when we have trouble. That's when we find that we don't have the confidence, we don't really value ourselves, we don't love ourselves the way that we really are. Whew, that was a heavy one. So when your sacred area is blocked, you may also find that you're unable to create intimate relationships. You're not able to really tap into your personal power, which then also affects the creativity and the passionate expression, self-worth. So there's like the cycle that you're beginning to see, that cycle, right? So you're not really able to pursue the things that you want to pursue as far as your creativity, because you're worried what people are going to think, and you're worried whether this particular person is going to like it, and what are they going to say. So everything is kind of connected, right? You may feel jealousy, right? Because even though you may think your work is great, but then you see somebody else out there and you think, oh, their work is great, and I wish, and I wish, and da da da. So even though you might think, oh, I'm pretty decent, but you may still experience jealousy. And even jealousy is a sign that there is a blockage, or there's some issues going on in your um, sacred energetic center. You may feel boredom. So you may, have these times when you're just creating, and things are going great. Then all of a sudden, it's like you're just bored, right? You go from being extremely prolific in creativity, and then you go to being just bored. That kind of a gap, that also shows that there is a blockage, that there's something that needs to be worked on, right? You may experience low energy, and that could also be related to being bored as well. And you may find that allergies, if you have allergies and you didn't have any, really bad allergies for a long time, all of a sudden your allergies suddenly get worse. That's also a sign that you may have some blockages in your sacred energetic center. So if any of these things are coming up for you, just go ahead and jot them down. You may also find, and I mentioned this earlier, that you have some kind of reproductive issues, that, that things like the fibroids, any kind of tumors, excessive bleeding, infertility for the guys and the girls. So there could be a lot of those type of issues that come up as well. So I know I've talked a lot about what could come up when you have blockages. So what are we going to talk about now? Let's just talk a bit about how to heal. Okay, so let me go ahead and just feels like I should just play this a little bit longer. So let me go ahead and just breathe. Breathe in and just let the sound just clear the energy. So let's talk a little bit about how to heal that sacred energetic center. One of the big things is to simply meditate on your emotions with what comes up. As we've been going through this, you've been writing down notes, just jotting things down that come up. And what you can do at the end of this is just find a nice quiet area and you can continue to meditate on those thoughts and to see what's coming up and why these feelings are coming up regarding what was said, right? And if you need to go deeper into it, we can form a private group on Facebook, or we can do some kind of a video chat and we can talk a little bit more. If you do need to find a therapist, I strongly recommend, if something comes up for you that you're not sure why, and it's really, kind of weighing on you, please reach out to a therapist and speak to someone. Okay, find a professional to go and talk to, because you don't want to hold on to these emotions that come up, especially if there's something coming up that you don't understand why it's coming up for you. Because remember, men or women, we have both our maternal and our paternal blood running through us. And then we also have our grandmother's blood running through us and our great grandmother's blood running through us. So a lot of the times there could be things that we're dealing with that don't necessarily belong to us, but they do affect us, right? There's the whole idea of past lives, I used to think was like major woo-woo until I started thinking about this. That, well, if we have this bloodline going through us all this time and we're living with things that our mothers didn't heal from and our grandmothers didn't heal from and our great grandmothers didn't heal from, all of that stuff is passed down from generation to generation, and here we are. And then that's another big reason why we need to heal from our junk, if I may say that, is because we end up having children and we pass this stuff down to our children, and then we pass it, if they don't heal from it, they pass it on to our grandchildren and so forth. So we have to start healing in order to, and when we heal ourselves, we heal generations to come. All right, so that is the one big reason. When we heal ourselves, we heal the world. If everybody did the work and healed from all of our traumas, the entire world would be healed, because all of our generations to come would be healed. Right? So it's a big reason why we go through these meditations and we start to heal from all of the traumas. So start to meditate on the emotions that are coming up for you as we've gone through this meditation. Another thing that we can do to heal is to practice confronting your emotions as they come up. Don't stifle them. A lot of us tend to, hold them in, saying, okay, big girls don't cry, big boys don't cry. And that stifling the emotions is what causes people to explode later on. But when you start to confront your emotions, face what is coming up. Why are you crying? Why do you feel angry? Why do you feel sad? Whatever it is that's coming up, face that emotion and start to address it and find out where it's coming from and what needs to be done about it to heal. This might seem really obvious, but one way to heal our sacred energetic center is simply to strengthen the lower abdomen. Do some exercise, do some sit-ups, whatever the Kegel exercise is, whatever, I think that's what they're called. Strengthen the lower abdomen. This is really, really simple. Spend time in an environment that inspires you. There was a time when I could not hold a paintbrush. Let me just grab a pen. When I was first diagnosed years ago, I could not hold a paintbrush because my fingers were always so swollen, and I could not grip a paintbrush in order to paint. And I went through a period where, as an artist and you cannot hold a paintbrush, that was devastating. That was probably the worst, apart from being diagnosed with a bunch of illnesses, not being able to play with my kids, but not being able to create, because we are born to create. We were created to create. Okay? And when you go through a period where you cannot hold a paintbrush, that was devastating. So I had to find places that I could go, like art galleries, right? Go down to art shows and watch people paint. And sometimes it kind of backfired on me because I'm watching people paint and I would get jealous because they were able to paint. So it's a lot of stuff that I had to kind of work through. But I did get to a point where I set a challenge for myself as part of the healing process to create 101 paintings over a period of 101 days, and I did. And that was part of the healing process, was actually making myself create. So get yourself in an environment that inspires you. If you're a potter and you're not able, or you're kind of stuck, not sure about ideas, go down to a gallery where they're throwing on the wheel, or go down to one of those paint your own pottery kind of places and just sit and paint, put the glaze onto one and come up with ideas. Whatever it is that is going to inspire you, go to that place. Find that place and spend time in that environment that inspires you. Another way is, you hear me talk about nutrition. Eat properly. And when it comes to that sacred energetic center, anything orange fruits, orange vegetables, color, that particular color is associated with that area. So you want to feed yourself those foods that have that color, right? So oranges, fleshy fruits, personal for me, pomegranates, hemp seeds, coconuts, poppy seeds, those type of foods are really good to nourish your sacred energetic area. Create without fear. That's another way of healing that area, is just create without fear. Create with abandonment. Just create. Don't care. Don't look at it as being, well, that's ugly. Just create. Don't care about what somebody else is going to think about it. And sometimes some of your best work comes out when you just create with abandon. Just get yourself a big canvas, start slapping on some paint, grab a couple forks and just start scraping, grab a knife, just start spreading. And even with your fingers, just take your hands, just get down in there and just start playing around with the paint, right? All of that is just create, and not worry about whether it's ugly or pretty, or it can hang in a gallery 5 years from now, whatever the case is. Just create without fear. Say mantras. That's another way of healing that sacred energetic center. And at the end of this, I'm going to read a mantra for you that you can say with me. And then at the end of you can also go back to the replay and you can write it down for yourself, post it somewhere, and just say it on a daily basis as well. So then another way to heal that area is to just design your life. Don't let life kind of dictate to you what's going to happen or what your life should be like. Spend the time, design your life. One of the things I know a lot of people do is creating vision boards. So get yourself a nice big sheet of paper, get some magazines, start clipping images from these magazines about what you want your life to look like. What your ideal man, your ideal house. Where do you want to live? Is it going to be beside the beach? Is it going to be in the mountains? Whatever, just design your life. Put it down on paper. Spend some time designing your life, and don't let life kind of do you, if you know what I mean. You create your life. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. And this is hard. This is, I'm like the super independent woman, right? I'm just going to throw that out there. So when, I'm the type, if I go to the grocery store and I'm taking my groceries out and someone comes up and asks if they can help me to put the groceries into the car, I'm like, no, I'm good. I got it. I'm good. And I know that's a simple example of vulnerability, right? It's just allowing somebody to help you to put the groceries in the car. But that simple act of allowing yourself to be vulnerable can help you to heal. And I've gotten really good at it now. So, today, for example, and I've allowed it to happen over the past few months, where if I'm at the grocery store and someone says, okay, can I help you to put the groceries in, or can I put them in the car for you? It's like, sure, thank you. So appreciate that. And then we kind of strike up a conversation, and there have been times when I'm like, should I? But you get to a point where at the end of it, you see the other person being able to help you. They get a good feeling out of helping you, but look at how you feel the next time you allow somebody to do something for you, there, and with nothing in expected in return, right? And today I noticed, as I got into the car, as I was at the grocery store, and I'm coming down the path, and this young man, really tall, really handsome fellow, long dreadlocks. I can picture him right now. He kind of stepped to the side to allow me to push the cart down, right? And I didn't realize this at the time, but he actually went up, came around to the other side, and met me as I opened the trunk. And he looked at me, he said, may I put the groceries in the car for you? And I just kind of stepped back and said, thank you so much, sir. And it was just like, it was the first time I actually did it without even thinking, should I, or you know, I just let him do his thing, right? So allow yourself to be vulnerable. I'm not saying to put yourself in a place where you're not safe. This was a grocery store. It was, it was a safe area, but vulnerability, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, can also allow you to heal that area. One of the things I also love to do is to take a salt bath. Water is very healing when it comes to that sacred energetic center. And if we think about all of how much water, not necessarily water itself, but how much fluid actually passes through that area. So taking the time to have a salt bath, or going and swimming in the ocean, or swimming in a pool, or in the lake, the water can be very, very healing. So those are just a few examples of how you can heal the sacred energetic center. I'm sure that there are a lot more. I'm sure that there are people who are watching who might be saying, well, I do this and I do this. And if there are other ways that that you work with, I would love to hear. You can simply pop them in the chat. You can text them to me. You can email them to me, whatever the case is. Okay. That just felt like a good spot to just kind of take a breath. What we're going to do now is I'm going to share with you a mantra that you can say regarding, the sacred energetic center, the reproductive area. You can simply go back and you can watch the replay. You can write this out for yourself and just post it somewhere. So what I'd like for you to do is just simply go ahead and close your eyes, and I will just read it out for you. I love my life. I honor my body and treat myself respectfully. I feel the power of healing moving in and through me as I affirm my worth and honor my body. I trust my feelings and give them ample room for expression. I am a creature of light, open to my highest joy. I am grateful for the joy of being me. I receive pleasure and abundance with every breath I take. Healing happens each time I rest, relax, and enjoy myself. I heal any condition that affects me and that affects my body, whether I'm aware of it or not. So whenever you're ready, if your eyes have been closed, just go ahead and just gently, gradually open your eyes and just gradually become aware of your surroundings again. My wish for you is that you continue to stimulate immunity by knowing that God lives in and through you. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. So never forget that spiritual aspect of you. I encourage you to seek healing for whatever comes up within your body. And I encourage you to just love yourself. And not just love yourself, accept yourself exactly as you are. With whatever comes up, with whatever has happened to you, with whatever you know that you need to heal from, just accept yourself right now, in the now, for whatever comes up. And then also love yourself for who you know you're going to become once you have started to heal, once you've started the healing process, and that person that who you're going to be becoming. So love yourself at every step. And with that, that is the end of that's day 3 of the Love Your Body meditation that focused on the reproductive area, or the sacred energetic area, or the sacral chakra, whatever term you want to call it. Sacral chakra is just it's your energy center. That's your creativity center, and there's just so much that that particular area influences. So whatever came up for you, journal about it, pray about it, meditate more on it, get therapy for it if that's what it comes down to, but start to heal from it. The next area that we're going to be addressing is going to be the digestive area, the digestive system, also referred to as like the solar plexus. That's the area directly above your sacred energetic center area. So directly above that is your solar plexus, which is your digestive system mainly, and where it said that like 75-80% of your immune system resides. And with autoimmune conditions on the rise, and if you've been diagnosed with one of them, I completely get it. I understand. So that's the area that we're going to be meditating on. And now you understand why I decided I would do this meditation as an individual one on a daily basis rather than on just one day, because it would have been too long, right? So I do hope that this was helpful. Like I said, this is not supposed to be like a quick fix. It's just supposed to kind of get you thinking. If this is an area you need some healing from, do seek the help. We can, if there's some things that you want to dive deeper in, like I mentioned earlier, we can create a private Facebook group, and we can certainly, dive deeper into some of these things. Roseanne says that was so amazing, loved it, thank you. I'm glad that it was helpful, Roseanne. Thank you. I love this kind of feedback. Helps me to kind of know where, if there's some things that you want me to discuss further, I can certainly do that as well. All I need is the feedback. That's why I love the conversations. I love when people post comments, because it helps me to know what works and what doesn't work, right? So, but like I said, always keep a journal when we're doing these meditations. Keep a journal, jot down the stuff that comes up for you, meditate on it further, get help for it. If you want to do this more, again, like I said, we can always form a private Facebook group and we can dive into that a little bit deeper. Okay, and then if more stuff comes up there, and you find that you really need to find a therapist for this, I do encourage you to go and get therapy for it. There is nothing wrong with seeking a therapist. There's nothing wrong with going to someone and saying, look, I think I need help in a certain area, because this thing happened to me way back when, and I thought I was over it. I thought I had healed from it. Apparently I haven't. So can you help me? All right. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It takes courage to do that, and healing comes from it. And when you heal from it, several generations after are going to heal from it as well. Okay. So healing starts with us. And when we start to heal, that healing emanates out. Okay. So on that note, thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so appreciative of your time, and I am so glad. I will say this. I do appreciate being asked to do this meditation. It is something I've wanted to do for a long time. Doing meditations online, and I'm actually stepping up now. We talk today about healing the sacred energetic center. One of the reasons why I haven't done these was simply out of fear, and because I was afraid of what people were going to think, and I was afraid of the. And I thought to myself, this is something I would love to do, and I may not be perfect at it, and I'm just going to start. So I was so grateful when I saw the comments. Can we do meditations? Can you do some meditations? So here I am, and whether one person benefits from it, or 100 people, or 1,000, I'm here, and I'm so glad that I stepped out of that fear, and I stepped up to do what I fully believe is one of the therapies that actually helped me to get where I am today, rather than sitting on the couch 12 years ago, writhing in pain, wondering whether I'm going to get better, or if I'm, and whether or not I'm going to be able to play with my kids ever again. So yes, here I am. And I'm not going to say it hasn't been nerve-wracking, but it has certainly has certainly helped. I want to share the things that have worked for me, and that's what I'm doing. So there is my, we talk about healing the energetic, the sacred energetic center. That was definitely a big healing part for me, was to just step up and do these meditations that I've been doing for so long, just haven't been doing them, sharing them with other people. So it was supposed, um, it way surpassed my imaginings. Thank you, Rosanna. Thank you. Um, thank you. That's all I can say. So I look forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow, like I said, is going to be all about the digestive system, the solar plexus area. So that's going to be another, that typically that's an area where a lot of people tend to have issues as well, especially with the autoimmune conditions and rise, and a lot of digestive issues and this. Yeah, so again, bring your journal, bring a pen, bring a bottle of water, and right after this, right after you do meditation, don't go and have a heavy meal. Just have something light, and just sit down and process your thoughts. Okay, and then once you've finished processing your thoughts, then you can sit down and have a bigger meal if you so desire. All right, so I will see you all again tomorrow, where we talk about the solar plexus, the digestive system area, and a whole lot more. All right, love you guys. I appreciate you.